Hello. It says we're live, so I'm going to go with that. I'm Tech702, otherwise known as Mike to humans. I'm joined for another episode of Tech Circus with two of my co-hosts, Mr. Michael Pepper from Michael Pepper Tech Live or Tech Talk or Tech or whatever he's doing this week. And Chris, otherwise known as BatteryPowered, live on location from NBA training camp. How are you guys doing tonight?
I am doing pretty good. And yourself?
I'm doing swell. Michael, what's this grin?
I'm happy to have good internet this week that shouldn't crash, since I've been doing tests for like the last 2 hours, like loading up as much as I possibly could on the network, trying to make it crash, and I couldn't. So I know that we'll be good to go. Chris, okay. Hopefully, well, you can talk about what you got going on. And
well, yeah, I got a little bit carried away. You know, I had a live show. There's been this ongoing thing with fuel rods, and I was just super into it. And due to the depth of folks that I have following on my Twitter, I did have a few people vote, and they were like, dude, you should totally go check it out. And then I did some Googling and realized Disney World was open. And here we are. I know people probably think this is a green screen because I am a green screen guy. I don't know how to prove that to you. So there's no fireworks.
He's actually there.
Yeah, like you'll see. That's the only, it's kind of funny. I focused so much on making sure that I got back here and wiped all the sweat off of me before I attempted to do this whole thing that if everything works right, you won't know that I'm actually live on location somewhere. But yeah, I am. So I'm here. Actually, you'll see some boats going around behind me, and that little purple thing over my shoulder is Space Mountain. The lesser purple thing is, I think it's the castle. I think over at Magic Kingdom. So yeah, so I'm here, and I'm kind of there. Hey, perfect. I was thinking, wait, did I just drop the stream already? No, that's not it. So yeah, it's yeah. So over here, right. It's about right here. This is Space Mountain, and then over this guy here. See, there's a boat. See, I'm not smart enough to have like video green screen, folks. So now that's how you can really authenticate here. But yeah, I just it's interesting. I'm always into. I've been paying attention to mobile technology for the longest time, and like I'm into chargers and charging, and fuel rods are this. They've been a huge support structure of my charging lifestyle on the road. So I took the opportunity to come down and have some fun. So yeah, I'm here and I'm kind of living the dream, because the one thing that we always talk about all the time is, I mean, in addition to being safe and I will tell you, man, the masks and this hand sanitizer and everything else was a bigger concern than anything else. But just the technology aspect of this, we do this all the time from our homes, or, I mean, I know, Mike, you're on the road all the time. But it's kind of like you're going between two different places that are the same, but you've kind of got your kit. I don't have that kit, and I mean, I wasn't really ever kind of prepared for this, so I had a very, very quick turn on this. So it's been interesting. I mean, if you want, I can go into I can talk a little bit about what I've done and what I'm doing here if anyone's interested, or we can just.
Why don't you break it down real quick? We won't go in depth, but so for anybody that wants to take a trip and wants to know, because maybe you don't have a tech show that you do every Monday night, 6 p.m. Pacific, 9 p.m. Eastern, but perhaps you would like the option to live stream from Twitter, YouTube, Twitch, so that a family member or friends can see, or even to your Facebook. So what kind of equipment does this require, I guess, would be the best thing you could drop on people?
Okay, cool. Yeah, I hate to totally like, I mean, I'm glad that I pulled back a little bit, because the first thing I'm going to tell you is about like connectors you need. So for me, just so everyone's aware, I mean, my situation right now, I've got a camera. I do have a tripod. It is on a pretty stable surface. Those things are kind of like key. You need some lighting. I'm using this little handy, awesome, lovely little aperture light over here. You need something so that you can control the environment that you're in. Otherwise, you're going to get plagued by whatever's going on behind you. And then you need some quality sound. Sound is actually the best thing really for any live broadcast. You've got to have sound. And I will tell you something that a lot of microphone manufacturers are probably going to be upset with. Of course, I'll listen to the replay and decide myself, but I'm actually using my stock MacBook microphone array tonight, because in my quick testing before the show, it proved to be the best thing. So you need good sound in, then you need something that isolates coming out. I am using AirPods Pro, which is a little bit of a delay, but not enough to make too much of a difference. If the guys are going to cut me off, they're going to cut me off anyway. And then make sure that you have something that's resilient for power. And of course, a robust network. So either a hotspot, several hotspots, depending on what you're doing. I'm not going to get into what I'm doing because basically I'd have to say that I'm using an Android device as a hotspot right now because it works better than the other things that I've got. But yeah, so I am using a Note 10 Plus as a hotspot tonight because I don't know why Apple wants to like throttle stuff on the uplink. I don't understand it, but it is better than that. It's better than the hotel Wi-Fi. It's better than everything else. So
maybe when we get those Qualcomm modems in the iPhone 12, we can reevaluate that position.
I would love to see some better modems coming over to.
It's supposed to happen.
5G.
It's supposed to happen this year. So the iPhone, the signal problems that have plagued them from the years, hopefully that'll be squashed with the iPhone 12 itself. I don't think it's going to be a crazy iteration as far as technology, but your service might be better. And for some people, that might be a difference.
And yeah, I mean, I feel like every year with the new iPhone, it's always the camera that brings people along with it. But now in the days of, especially if you're doing something like mobile streaming, I mean, I know I said this before and I said, hey, make sure you have a camera. I should point out the webcams on most like machines today are getting better. The iPad webcam or the front facing cam on the iPad isn't too bad. The iPhone is not too bad. You can get some software to use that as a webcam. I am using a Sony camera tonight, ZV-1. So like I'm with Samsung on the hotspot. I'm with Sony on the camera. Like I'm all over the place here tonight. But I am not using that ZV-1 natively. I do have it connected to a Elgato Cam Link. So we're not using it.
If it had the firmware, I would be using it.
Yeah, exactly. Which is. You have a pretty good little review on that, but yeah, I decided that I'm going to hang out and make a little bit of a longer. I think I might actually dump a review on this camera because it is interesting. But to get back to it, yeah, I think that it's a signal strength. Signal strength was a very, very important thing for me today here, messing around with hotel Wi-Fi and trying to establish some solid uplink. I am blown away that I happened to bring the Note, and the Note had like the absolute most robust signal. But if I suddenly stop talking. It's also Samsung's fault, so I'm going to blame them. But
so just to recap, what you need is obviously good internet. So whatever device gives you the best internet, you need audio, your best audio. Which in a lot of cases, most people are probably using a cell phone or a laptop, like yourself.
And separation of audio. That's the other thing too. Actually, I wanted to mention that separate mic and headphones. You've got to have two separate things. You too many people are like, oh, but I'll use my laptop, and that's great. But then don't use the speakers on your laptop. Use headphones to separate that audio. So, camera, good internet, good camera, good audio, in and out, plus separation.
Now you are near a charger and battery powered, so I have to ask, what is your backup power supply contingency? That I'm sure you have a case. You probably have more power supply stuff than you do media kit, if I know you.
I'll just put it to this way. Every time I go through the TSA checkpoint, they always make it's very funny because they scan the thing and I see them stop it. And I have a bet when I'm traveling. Before it was with business partners, and now it's usually with my wife or friends. They're always like, whose bag's going to get checked? Because my bag, my check-on bag, like always has so much crap. I'm sorry, my check-on, my carry-on bag always has so much stuff in it, but it's so neatly organized. They're like, okay, this guy's probably not the terrorist, but somebody else in this group must be doing something because this guy's just got too much good organized stuff. So it is funny. Today I'm using I have the Hyperjuice driving the MacBook, but ironically, as we type, it is telling me that it's not charging the MacBook, which is kind of comical. It is telling me that it'll take me more than 10 hours to charge the MacBook off of a Hyperjuice 100 watt dual port USB-C charger, and I'm only using one port of it. But I've also got, for me personally, this is why I love USB-C, man. I am using a 60 watt USB-C brick with a cable running up to my ZV-1 with a micro USB adapter on it because I have to adapt back to that old school original Super Mario Brothers connector, which I don't understand. But yes, I carry, I have a couple batteries, I have a couple chargers. I am that tagline is not a joke at all. I am
staying on brand as always.
Hardcore. Oh, and fuel rods. I went and swapped some fuel rods today. I took some pictures. I took some video. I might actually turn that into something too, especially after all the hype of yesterday and the total excitement of the past
I think
24 hours.
if you took exchange video of how you change it out in the machine and whatnot, I think that would be useful. Make a video on that. Yeah, that would be helpful. So Pepper, changing gears, Pepper, you're extra crispy tonight. Did you get a new camera or is it because of the new modem? What's going on in Pepper's world?
So a couple of things. One is I have one of my lights up top, so it's giving me good hair light, because otherwise my head just kind of gets cut off into the background. And then I have another light down in front of me that's filling in, because otherwise I get a shadow from the microphone. And yes, finally the new modem, which shipped out a week after I talked to them. So apparently they blamed COVID and said, hey, we're shipping out of South Carolina, and apparently they had some. Oh, and then the funny thing is they sent a modem router combination, and they're only supposed to send just the modem. So essentially we're just going to disable the router part of it and hide the SSID, and because for one, it doesn't even make signal all the way upstairs where I am. And that's just pointless. You're going to end up having somebody connected to that, and they're going to pull bandwidth from that end before your router gets to send the signal to modem. So finally, that came today and got that set up, got that. They told us, oh yeah, just plug it in. It'll work, according to the instruction manual. Until you realize, no, you can't do that. You got to call them, and they have to actually enable on their back end. So you actually get signal and everything works, and you don't think that your modems go out of whack. So they got that all set up. So that is why I'm extra crispy tonight, because I'm finally got full latency, full speeds, back to normal, and hopefully it will stay this way for a while. And if it doesn't, well then, I don't know, I got to hack some satellites or something. I got to talk to Elon Musk about, can he hook me up on some beta testing for their satellites or something? Because that would be awesome.
That's cool. So are you going to make the rest of the house pay for that, go in on that modem, or did you just come out of pocket?
So that actually, no, we rent the modem from WoW, so they just sent us a new one, and then they're going to actually just come pick up the old one next Monday instead of us having to print out a label and slap it on there and then drive somewhere to drop it off. They're just going to have somebody swing by and pick up the old one. That way they get it, and they know they're going to get it direct, and they're going to get it right away, and you don't have that whole we might put a charge on your bill until we get the old one sort of thing, because I've experienced that before not with WoW, but with other companies. So it's simple. That's why we waited, because it was either that or I was this close to buying one from Best Buy, calling them, having them pair that one, having them still send one out, and then return the one to Best Buy.
Chris loves Best Buy. If you need return advice for Best Buy, go through Chris. He's the guy. He's your guy.
It's funny, as you know, before the Best Buy comment, I was in on that, because I won't say who, but I had a cable company years ago that I left their services, and they said, you know what, you don't even have to go to our office. We're going to send you a box, literally a folded up box with a label on it. You get the box, you unfold it, you throw all the stuff inside and mail it back to us. I go, okay, cool. I do all that, and I'm like, but it's like a couple cable boxes, cable modem, whatever, and all the stuff's in just the cardboard box. And the guy goes, yeah, use the other pieces of cardboard to pad it. I go, there's no other padding. There's nothing else in there. The stuff's going to get destroyed. They're like, no, we do this all the time. Totally good. I ship the stuff back to them. I get an email from them yeah, we're crediting you, with some percentage of it, but we're billing you like $500 because all the stuff was destroyed. And I'm like, I did it exactly following your instructions. So I really did try to return the stuff, even though I thought it was idiotic. And I threatened, I'm like, I'm going to put packing material in here. And they're like, no, don't do it. It's going to screw up the return process. I'm like, do we just go straight to recycling? So, yes.
Yes, because it gets fun, because then you have all that weight stuff. So if you put any packaging in there and it's weighed more than what they paid for, then
it doesn't go, or it gets back charged or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
It was so freaking stupid, but yeah.
I made a return. I made a return today to Amazon. Can you guys guess what it was based upon my recent videos?
Was it the Skull Candy headphones? Because I'd be totally surprised about that.
Yeah, right. So evidently we've had an entire conversation that I must have been blackout drunk about the convenience of returning Amazon stuff to Kohl's. But I put my mask on, went back to Kohl's and handed it to the guy. He literally just took a sticker. He didn't open the box, nothing. Took the sticker, slapped it on there, scanned it, said, "Thanks for your return." And I walked out, and like 20 minutes later, it says, "Your money's returned." And I talked to another buddy of mine who does a lot of business with Amazon. He's got an online store. He's like, "Dude, I heard the craziest stories about people buying $300 headphones and putting $50 headphones and doing return. I mean, shady stuff." They're saying Kohl's is like terrible about it. And he was shocked because he runs an online business where people return stuff. And so he gets into disputes with Amazon sometimes over that kind of stuff. And he was telling me, he's like, "I'm shocked they still let Kohl's do it because universally people have said they really don't check anything or even have any knowledge of what they're looking at if it's a technical product." So some shenanigans have gone on.
I think they put like a seal, that sticker that they put on it. At least when I've returned stuff, it's like a seal. They put like a seal on the package that indicates like they received this thing from you, and then it goes to return center, and that DC or whatever is supposed to be the one that analyzes it. Because
I got my refund email. There's no way it moved from that desk.
No. And that's
in that 20 minutes. Like
that's the only counterpoint to that. I got the same thing.
Or maybe there's a limit because those were like $100 headphones. Maybe it's like cost effectiveness of Amazon saying, "Look, anything that's under this dollar amount, maybe it's 150 or whatever. Who cares? Because we're going to spend more money investigating and manpower and whatever than just." I don't know that. I'm just speculating why that would be. So
it's I've watched a lot of videos. There's a guy that buys all of he'll go do I bought, a $300 Amazon return pallet of stuff. It supposedly has, $1,800 worth of stuff in it. And he goes through and figures out, well, did he lose money on what he could sell or was he good to go? Sometimes it's horrible because he'll have like $28 worth of stuff that he could actually sell because half the stuff it's like used soap or random things that there's no way you can sell it. Broken headphones, all sorts of things because they didn't check it. And then other times it's great. Like one time he had a freaking, there was a MacBook Pro in there. So he made his money back easily. He was like, "Yep, that's $1,800 right there." Like,
I watch those. I want to. Those things are like so addictive to me, but I never want to watch them because I know one of these days the guy's just going to get a pallet of my stuff, and I'm going to be like, "Oh man, now I know where it goes to."
Well, if it's all Android stuff that's being returned, we know who did it.
Sometimes.
Costco does that too. I think Costco sells pallets, but you got to buy like a truck. You can't just buy the pallet because Costco pretty much takes everything back, right? And there's websites that are like, you got to buy the truck, so you got to go out there and give them like 14 G's. You might make 100, you might make 5 back, but you got to buy the truck from them.
I have heard that. that.
Yeah, that's another one that does that.
My father-in-law watches a lot of. There's a guy that does that, but he does it with collectible stuff. So like, a truck full of like toy cars or things like that, and he's gotten some pretty cool like old like antique like little what do you call it, like the metal full-on metal cars, like the little kids sit in it and go down a hill, or they used to race them and things like that. But anyway,
how about the soapbox derby or whatever?
Yeah, he's gotten some pretty cool stuff, and it's interesting to see what's in there, and you never know.
It's good stuff. So I did something on Saturday without asking permission from you guys first. I don't know if you heard. Well, I mean, we're contractually obligated to not make asses of ourselves without prior notification. But I'm actually kidding about that. We're completely ruckshot here. But yeah, I hit up Tech King Mike because this was like the second Saturday I had off in 6 months. So, and I've been on watching those tech fights. You guys watch those things, right?
I do.
Do you enjoy them?
I'm pretty sure that there's only one of us that's never participated in one.
Probably the same guy that doesn't make videos.
Yeah.
Probably.
Yeah.
So I'm like, is this one of those things where, because if you've watched it before, it's fun, and when the question comes out, I like your banner, by the way. Trenton won. Let's not play a game there. But the thing is
that's why it was a question mark, not a statement.
I was happy with my showing because I fully expected to fall on my face, because I'm used to doing live streams. I'm used to doing all kinds of, I teach classes. I've taught EMT classes. I have no problem speaking in groups usually, but it was a little different this time because Tech Fights is like such a spotlight. And when you're on there, there's people from all around the spectrum. There's dudes with 100,000 subs on there, and you're going to be on the spot. So when I went on there, I'm thinking two things. One, this seems too easy because I'm watching Tech Fights and everybody gets the question and we're all reading the question. And in chat, we're talking about how this is easy. We know the answer. It's not that easy. When you go on there and you're under the gun, it's stressful as hell. And it doesn't even matter. Everybody goes, oh, I could beat this guy or I couldn't beat that guy. Or you kind of size up people. You're not even thinking about that because you don't have time. It's like Mike throws that question up there and you got 10 seconds at best to figure out what you're going to do. And you got to just, I made the joke at the end that it's kind of like Eminem and 8 Mile, because it's literally like a rap battle, except because instead of making up lyrics, you got to make up words to support an argument that maybe you don't even truly support. Like you could be the biggest Apple sheep in the world, and now you have to be able to flip the script and talk about why you hate Apple, if that's what the debate requires. So cool experience. I did not expect to make it that far for my first time. And I had my Apple Watch on and I was checking. My pulse got to 155 at one point, sitting in the chair I'm sitting in right now. 155 beats per minute. So, and like I said, I'm a firefighter. So I go to car accidents, fires, dead people, all kinds of stuff. And I'll literally drink coffee, within 30 seconds of being done with that call. This was way more stressful.
I got to be on there and I did one of the one-on-ones. And it was actually pretty early on when he was doing this. And like, I can relate because I got done and I'm pretty sure my heart rate was like 100 almost 150. And I literally was awake. Like I stayed awake the whole entire next day and just went to bed when I would have the next night because I was like, I don't even know what to do. I was spinning through my head like what questions is he going to ask next time? Like I was literally preparing, like, and I was done, like thinking. And
when you're done, you go back and you second guess yourself. So
you rethink everything.
You're like, God. And there's a couple, like, by the way, Juan, I haven't really followed a lot of his stuff, but he was a guest judge, Juan Bagnell. The dude is an awesome judge and he's super articulate and a bright dude. And he brought up the point about make sure you ask questions about the question, because a lot of stuff can have multiple meanings. And he was also accurate in the questions I did lose. I usually did well. And then I killed myself at the end you could talk too much. So it's like, you have that 90 seconds. I actually was running a timer on my phone so I could say like debate class and stay in my time. But you can talk yourself out of it's like, you kind of get an idea. I'm going to run with this. And then you freestyle. And then if you have time left, you're like, well, I don't want to leave time on the clock.
You throw a little pepper
and then you start giving the other argument credit, especially if you're on the side you don't want to be on.
I've seen that happen a couple times. LB is like the master of talking himself out of wins. But what's funny to me is I've noticed what happens is people will forget which side they were on sometimes, like halfway through the forget. And it's like sometimes the questions you didn't really care which side you were on, and you just start debating yourself the whole thing. So then the other person comes on, they say like 3 words and it's over with. And it was pretty cool to see you jump back and forth and being able to see you, because sometimes it's easier for you to go second because you can just go, you only have to go at what the person said when they went first. you don't have to think, well, what might they say? You already know. So if they didn't give enough, it makes it easier on you. But sometimes then it's also better to go first because you get to pick your side. So you're not stuck with.
They gave me a few. I think I had 2 or 3 where I got to say I could defer. And then when we got to once Trent came in, it was like, you're going, now he's going, now you're going. And then Adrian, oh my God. She is. So it's just funny because she'll come in and she'll literally be like, well, both of your arguments were good, but I like the way this one sounded. And I'm like, oh my God. So it's not just what you say. And if you made your point, you got to have style points because these judges all have their different things that they like about it. So I appreciate Mike extended a invitation for me to come back, do a one-on-one. So I'll probably hit that up at some point, but awesome experience. It's a gut check. So if you're in the tech space, a lot of us are in these same circles. Go check out Saturday Night Tech Fights, Tech King Mike on Twitter, and find out what the next one is. He's got the YouTube channels. Go watch it. And I'm telling you, I watched pretty much all of them except for the first couple. And every time I'm like, that's easy. That's easy. I could beat that guy. Oh, I don't want to go against that guy. And you do that if you're being real with yourself. But then when you get on there and you have zero control of the questions, you have no time, and it's like, oh shit, like
it's coming out of the hose.
100 and something people are watching me right now. And on top of the fact, you don't got time to think about that. So awesome experience. Go check that out if you haven't already. We'll put it in the description. And yeah, good stuff. Chris, you're up next as far as getting in the ring.
It's fun. Those one-on-ones are interesting too, because like when I did it, he gave us our questions ahead of time, right? So like we had the questions, but I had prepared like both sides, but then I had really like notes on which side I really wanted to go on, but I lost the first one, which meant I didn't get to pick the second one. So I had to debate the opposite side, but it was fun. That was the shortest debate I think he's ever had, because I knocked out on the second round. And I think it's a different too when you have that, than when you're having to think on the spot. And I think it's more fun when he does these battle royales, and he's been talking about doing some other crazy stuff too. So he had us in the green room, and I think there's only a max of 5. And when you're in the green room, you don't know who the other people are. It just says you're backstage. And he was holding me in there, and all these guys, I'm like, okay, here comes the Poets. Oh, he's going to put me against the Poets. God damn it. And because that's a bright dude, right? And then somehow the Poets lost, and I'm like, oh, like I'm secretly doing this. Yes. I don't want to go against that dude, right? Like my first time. I know what I'm talking about, but I don't want to go against somebody that sounds eloquent every time that he speaks, like, and he's an intelligent person. So I was like, not that. And it was funny though, because I think like the second or third person I went against was Zach Talks Tech, and we're like buddies. So Zach gets on there and he's cracking up, and I'm cracking up because we have no idea who's going against who. And it's a good time. It's fun. You don't know what's going to happen. And the battle royale, at least I imagine one-on-one, I would be more comfortable. Like you're saying, if I had the questions and I could prepare, like, I think it would be okay, because spontaneously making up and BSing your way through stuff that's a whole different skill set than, I get to write my speech, so to speak. So that was,
it was good to watch, and you are good at arguing. I know that from every time that you tell me you're going to get another Android device, and I ask you why you have an Apple device, and then it's like whatever night Tech Fight's there. So
it's my only gift is arguing and pissing people off.
We have been preparing Mike for that since we started this, because we are always wrong and Mike is always right. You heard it here.
Whoever yells the loudest. Well, in the beginning, no, I'm just kidding. So let's give Chris, go through chat, say what's up. We spent too long talking about ourselves.
Yeah. Actually, so just taking a quick look at chat. It's a quiet Monday night here. I see Techman, Techie K, Tech for Your Needs, Technically Lurking. Definitely not a technical audience at all. Contractors POV, Jason C. Shout out to all of you for coming out and joining us tonight in the chat. Appreciate you all, and appreciate you all spending your time with us. It's good, and we're just grateful. I know
money in the bank. for somebody.
What's that?
I said it puts money in the bank for somebody.
It puts money. Yes, somebody.
I don't know who. I spend money to be here, so I don't. I don't know. What else we got going on? What do we got coming up?
You can throw all your stuff in the details here. People can start sending you money now. I think now that you're
I got a Cash App.
Yeah, Cash App stuff. You lay that stuff out there, man. Start sharing it. You don't have to wait for Michael and I to get the channel monetized. We can just move ahead.
Okay, so there's these different methods. You can do super chat if you have a big enough channel. If you have 1,000 people or more, we don't have that. I don't have that. You guys don't. We don't have that combined. So super chats are out. You can do the buy me a coffee route, right? But I don't drink coffee. I drink whiskey and beer. If there was a buy me a whiskey website, I'd be throwing that mofo out. That link would be all over my social media. Buy me a whiskey. Buy Mike a whiskey. That's where you're for just $5 a week. You can keep this Irishman happy.
You can keep him sane.
But the Cash App thing. Okay, so I'm just gonna put it out there. I don't know if I'm supposed to or whatever. So Trenton ended up winning the tech fights, right? He got the overall prize.
Are you sure you're supposed to share this?
Yeah, but I don't care. So
okay.
I put it on Twitter. So.
Oh, okay.
So all I'm going to say is, so Trenton won the whole thing overall. I came in second. So second place was like some sampler bags of popcorn or whatever. And then Trenton gets iPods Pro plus popcorn that was his prize. Trenton hit up LB because LB is a sponsor and said, you know what? Mike kicked ass, give him some of my stuff. And Trenton didn't want the iPods or the AirPods, excuse me. So LB ends up sending me, I don't even know how much popcorn's on its way to my house right now. And he gave me cash. So I'm not going to say how much or anything like that, but cool. What does that say? About LB, but Trenton. Tech Rant, that dude, we call him Thanos and he looks hard, but he's a good dude. So I'm just going to put that out there on blast.
So you'll be able to replace that broken light.
I'm going to make my 3-year-old get a job. I'm like, kid, you better start a YouTube channel and start playing with toys. We need to buy stuff. I'll film it. Those are huge now. Kids playing with toys.
I can't believe it, man.
I spend thousands of dollars on BS toys for my kids. And what do? They go on YouTube to watch other kids playing with the toy that they have in their hand. It's like, I just bought you that $50, action hero or whatever. He wants to hold it while he watches another kid play with it. I'm like, oh my God, I can't even with this generation right now. Like,
that started with adult video on demand and has just kind of gone downhill. And now it's with like children's toys. It's just, and it's free.
People want to live vicariously. It's weird.
That's why AR is so big, man.
Well, AR is it's why Twitch and YouTube and different things for gamers is such a huge, because people watch other people play and compete and stuff like that, which always seems funny to me because it's like, I will watch, but things that I don't play, which is weird because I never thought I would be like one of these people would be like, oh, that's cool. And like cheering on other people.
So you mean sports?
What
do you mean?
I played basketball.
I was wondering if he was referring back to like my adult.
Yeah, it's like
I'm trying to pitch this up a little bit. So
I'm not talking about chess matches on the Ocho. He's talking about NFL or something.
Well, I think
it's kind of the same thing.
Call of Duty Warzone and Twitch.
It's becoming the Matrix, though. So if you guys recall, I'm sure everybody knows the Matrix, but when he's eating the steak and the dude was like, he was a traitor, right? And he betrayed them all. And he's eating a steak and he goes, I'm putting a steak in my mouth and I know it's not real, but I don't care because it feels the same. And it's just complex chemical signals to the brain. It kind of makes you think, we talk about the universe as a simulation and going forward, if it feels the same and it looks the same, and we get talking about VR, AR stuff here, people will get that same dopamine release, that same excitement, that same level of completeness and, being satisfied by experiencing it. They're getting the same chemical fix in their brain. Doesn't matter if they're on the field or not. So, I mean, we do watch sports. I can't play sports for crap anymore, but I still watch them, same thing.
Well, you're in Vegas. or near Vegas, and the whole sports gambling thing is all surrounded by on that idea of, you know, people getting the excitement of like, I'm gonna put money down on, you know, whatever team, however many points difference, and, you know, hope that I'm right and all sorts of things. And then it gets more complicated than that. I know it gets into the whole like drafting your own team from other players and things like that. And
I'm huge about fantasy. That's a big thing.
And so there was something related to gaming that I know you wanted to talk about that happened in recent news. And so I'll let you kind of go into that, because obviously that's not my foray, as we've discovered. But Ubisoft event with Assassin's Creed and the Watchdog Legions.
They had their big release, which really only 2 titles I give a crap about that most people give a crap about is. Now, here's the funny thing. Everything's being delayed this year. Software, though, when we normally get the hot time for the year is like the holidays, right? Like Black Friday, November. That's when between the end of August until the end of November is like all the sports games, the Maddens, the freaking pretty much everything comes out the end of the year that's popular. So Ubisoft, they make the Assassin's Creed games, which I'm sure, even though you're not a gamer, I imagine you've heard of it. They've actually made movies about it now because it's such a big deal. So they have Valhalla coming out, and we're on like the 5th iteration of Assassin's Creed. So chat, help me out if any of you guys are players here, but they're adding in a raid mechanic now. So normally when you go along Assassin's Creed, like it says, a lot of the game style is stealth. And so the raid style is like an announced gameplay where you go in, it's like a mission, but it's an overt mission. I'm not sure. I know why they're doing it, because most of the popular games are MMOs and stuff like that. So they're trying to expand. The universe expands. When you have open world and you have open choices and you force combat, then you're going to have more interactions, right? So the current style of gameplay is you could be super quick, you could be stealth, you can get in and out. So the big one is just raid play, and I'm not going to be too long on this. So that one's coming out December, like Christmas. So I think they're actually postponing it. It's not going to come out till after the holiday rush, which that could change. It's software, but the initial announcement says by December 31st, 2020. So I'm a little confused by that, but that's what they did with all the games. And then the other one, I don't know who's playing. I'm going to check chat. Still no comments on it. So I'm going to assume, I guess I'm the only gamer here right now.
You are playing with yourself, Mike.
That's fine. So maybe in the replay, someone gives a crap about gaming. So Watch Dogs Legion. So now when you pick up NPC players, you can team up. And normally the way Watch Dogs works is you can get other players and you can do missions type thing. And then if they die off, that's it. You go on and you acquire new players, you do new missions, shit like that. With the new style, you're supposed to be able to pick the NPCs or teammates that you want and keep them going. So you can make styles of teams. And there's different missions. So there is stealth missions, there's aggressive, outward, blowing people up type missions. But now you can actually build a team based on your play style and maintain that as you make it through the content of the game. So those are just the 2 big announcements with the Ubisoft. Cool stuff for gamers.
That's really cool stuff. I mean, it's interesting. I don't play that much. I largely Xbox stuff and occasionally like Call of Duty, but I kind of keep it to that genre because, quite honestly, I could get sucked in if I just played like 5 or 10 games. I could totally, the way my brain works, I would be trying to like figure out what's in all the sandboxes and all that stuff. So I play Call of Duty mostly because I get bored of it after a period of time, and then I don't, and then I unplug it, and then I like leave it, and then I'm good. But it's always interesting to hear the other directions the technology has taken with gaming and how they're doing things, especially with like big data and player mapping. I mean, that's one thing, or player matching, I should say. I know that's in Call of Duty, that's one thing that people are always upset with is the skill-based matchmaking engine in the new Call of Duty Warzone, which they say for a long time they were complaining that it wasn't, if you do good, if you do good, you get matched against usually somebody harder than you. And then that is how in the real world you do better. But they were saying that the game would give them somebody that significantly outrank them, and then their numbers would all fall. And now this is rooms of people, but it's rapidly reassigning those rooms and all that stuff. But anyways, to hear, I think the more interesting part of that for me is hearing that Assassin's Creed is going to go with like an overt game style. And that my only question is going to be, why would they want to do that?
It's just the force because gameplays are becoming a lot of popular games that exist in their current form. They have like an end game, and there's a completeness to it. Once you go, so you have two options as a game creator. You can go to an MMO style where I can team up with other humans, or you go to what's called a raid style, which is where the AI in the game can be my friend, or I can manipulate the AI in a way that makes infinite more options. So the game has more playability and replayability, which keeps people focused, which makes people buy expansion packs, which makes people buy pay to play items in some cases and stuff like that. The whole sub economy of keeping people on the game, like my game is World of Warcraft, right? That's MMO. So It's all about sub economy, exactly. Sub economy, other people, and sometimes people don't have friends. If I don't have a friend, how do I make this game more engaging for the guy that doesn't have a friend or is shy and doesn't want to play with other humans, but wants to expand his gameplay? So, and rather, if you're not going to make it an MMO, you open it up, let the AI and the NPCs be on your team, let you manipulate that, and give you raids, which is basically Call of Duty mission type strike missions, but you can apply it to fantasy, you can apply it to pretty much any genre. It's the same platform. It makes the game more playable and more repeatable. People spend more time on the thing.
So, did either of you see, I saw related to that this week, that Razer has announced a new keyboard for gamers without a numpad and without the arrows. So it's designed to reduce the size. So you just, you'd have your WASD and you have your, but this is like full size. The idea is you throw it in your bag, you have a normal keyboard to type on. But then if you're a gamer, you don't have that whole extra side of keys. It's like, I don't know what is that.
This thing is so awesome.
5 inches of keyboard on there.
This is how I play World of Warcraft. I could literally sloth it up with this on this hand, the mouse in the other hand. This is 20 keys, and there's 3 sets of those 20 programmable. So I have 60 keys in left hand, all ergonomic, and I have huge hands. So for me, because I can't take a regular keyboard and do my little ASDF, W and all that stuff. Like I do this, and after 5 minutes, this is what I look like for the rest of the day. So the gamepad, it sounds like a great product, but all they're doing is going between this and a regular keyboard. It sounds like, me as a gamer that uses it every day.
The idea was, I guess, for people that are more like they don't game all the time, but they do it enough that they want something that's designed for that, but also to be able to do normal typing and things like that and throw it in your bag, and it would work good with your gaming laptop and not have, so multi-use, because that right there would be it's a singular use. Like you're not going to sit and, work on your business work or whatever you're going to also throw in a keyboard. So
you're not going to do tax documents.
So how does that switch over? You said 60 keys. So is there like a toggle key?
Yeah, so check it out. I'll hold it up if I can. So you see that is the 20 keys, and you can program them into any part of the keyboard. And then over here, instead of, this is the character movement over here. And then I use this for targeting as my hot button down here, 20. So you see these 3 lights, LED markers though, these each with this button right here switch to resetting these 20 to a new set. So if I'm in a raid setting, I'll have it on one setup, which is basically I'm playing against NPCs, non-characters. If I'm playing PvP against other players, you want other stuff hot buttoned, right? And then so that allows that. Now the other advantage I have here, weird camera here, is I have the Razer mouse. So the Razer mouse that I have is 12 keys also. So I have 72 keys that I can lay down in my chair like this if I had a way to do that. And you could literally lay down with like a 49-inch. I'm talking about my retirement goals here. and game. If I just have like a Camelback with whiskey in it and just be like, become the World of Warcraft dude from the South Park episode. But yes,
People
I
are
do
really-
recommend the game. I don't see the need for the keyboard, because the gamepad is so good. In the beginning, if they would have came out with that keyboard first, I would have bought it because it works for gameplay. But now with this, that's like a step backwards. That's like them coming out with ARM MacBooks and going back to the iPad. They're like, we have an ARM MacBook with a touchscreen. Oh, wait, why did you sell iPads again? It's the same exact thing that they're doing right now. If I had to,
that's pretty cool. So I'm assuming if you knew, you could use that for other uses too. Like I could probably create macro shortcuts like in Photoshop and stuff, and do all sorts of crazy things with that. Which
and
would be more.
It's ergonomic though, so that's what I'm trying to say. So if you something like that would be awesome. If you spend an hour or two editing, it's no different in gaming. How long do you want to sit on your keyboard doing this versus you could chill out?
That would be awesome because there's a lot of shortcuts that are like
like this.
There are a lot of shortcuts in Photoshop that's like 3-4 key combinations, and you could just program that into a single key.
They all have macro programming.
There are other things for that. So how much was that?
I think 120.
Oh, that's pretty good.
Best, and that's the best one. There's cheaper
because like the Elgato Stream Deck, which you can do, macros and stuff, is at least that price, depending on where. I mean, I've seen it at least that, so that's pretty cool, and that gives you more alternate purpose. So that'd be pretty cool to see.
I can tell Mike's
I'm getting attacked by a 3-year-old. Hold on.
Dear God.
I thought he just had the notification mode on, the noise that my text messages make on his phone.
I was like,
so.
But that's pretty cool.
That's unfortunate. I was gonna coerce Mike into giving advice, since it's kind of a lot like me. Like anytime anybody asks me, hey, I'm thinking about getting into this thing, like photography or something like that. It's like the first piece of advice is go buy this $27,000 thing.
Okay, so.
And I saw Gary's comment go by. So Mike, what's your advice for like the person just getting into gaming that doesn't just
find a place without 3-year-olds?
That's a game.
Dude, so if you're getting into gaming or you want to, so now the debate, and we're going to go more into this a lot as we get closer to the new PS5 dropping and the new Xbox. It's going to be, I know Chris isn't into it, but something we're going to talk about because people care. As we get closer and the PC and console, we're kind of leveling out on what they can do. PC Master Race is still in effect, meaning that PC still gives you the most options, still gives you the most customizable experience, continuously upgrade, stuff like that. So my advice, if you want to get into PC gaming, the most important, kind of like we talk about as a creator, what's the most important thing to buy when you're on a budget? Obviously, your graphics card, if you're talking about the computer. But assuming your computer is good and we're talking just peripherals, the mouse. You live and die by the latency of your mouse. So what your largest dollar that you need to spend out the gate is the mouse. The keyboard is secondary. And what are you laughing about, dude? You're still laughing about my kid, huh? Oh,
I'm not.
I guess
Pepper is. Yeah,
There's other gaming pads. You can basically buy the knockoff of this for $40 or $50, and it's good enough. I mean, I'm not a pro gamer. I could probably use one of those and be fine. The reason I don't is because I like my wife to bitch at me about stuff that 12-year-olds buy. So I buy it. But yeah, your mouse is, and anybody who has kids that don't give a crap about games but want to buy their kid something, start with the mouse, because nothing's going to get you killed faster than keyboard turning or having a crappy. And don't get one that is only wireless. Get a corded mouse if they're into gaming, because the latency, we're talking fractions of a second, but it matters. It's the difference between getting a headshot and not getting a headshot in shooting games, casting a spell for those of us that do really nerd stuff. So go mouse, then gamepad, and keyboard.
Gamers. Like, is that, I mean, since we're on the topic, what's up with that? Is it just like, do you love the sound of like popping popcorn or something, or like, is it a speed thing?
What do you mean?
Well, like that seems to be. It's funny. Like when I like mechanical keyboards. I'm not, I don't use them because most of the time working in spaces that are other people are around. So I don't use them too much, but it's
Razer
just
mechanical.
Look at one. They're like, this is the gaming keyboard. It uses these brown switches or these red.
So the argument is basically this. This is a mechanical because, sorry about that, I'm OG. So I like the advantage of mechanical is not the clicking sound. It's the fact that when you push the button's pressed. So if you use a soft, I like the tactile because, again, I'm 40 and I'm not 12 anymore. Young kids probably want whatever's fastest, but for the average person, or if you have less capacity for skill, I guess is what I am. But I like to know when the button's pressed that it's pressed. The soft keys are beneficial because you have less travel. Mm-hmm. They're digital, so it's instant. These are using a contact, so the contact has to happen, like a physical metal contact. And again, we talk about everything isn't latency. Like pro gamers, the people I know that have won contests and stuff, we want these 30-inch, 40-inch. No, they play on like 17-inch super fast monitors because they want to get the latency as far gone as possible. And the smaller all your setup is, the better that works out and the faster it refreshes.
Well, the other thing about that would be moving from one side of the scene to the other. Essentially,
yeah, you don't want to,
and you're not doing this to look from one side and
if it's all in front of you. Yeah. Now the only limitation to that is if a game has an advantage to it. So what I mean by that is certain games, the resolution, obviously, if you play a 4K resolution, you're going to get more peripheral stuff that's out of the scene. Like when I play it. I'll use World of Warcraft, that's just the game I play all the time. Like if I play 1080 versus if I was to go down to 720, it literally shows less on the screen because they crop it. So certain games, it comes into how the game is programmed also. So I would take that into consideration. Sometimes it makes sense to get the bigger monitor. So let's see. What's up in chat? See if anybody's laughing at me in chat. Hold on.
Well, Gary actually just said that I made a comment. You made a comment about me not enjoying the PS5, and my whole thing is the PS5 just doesn't have a battery. So if it did, I'd be way more interested. I was thinking about this the other day. It's kind of funny. Like I do care about Switch. What's that? Yeah, I mean it's interesting. But the Switch might. But I don't know. Nintendo just lost my interest in games years ago. They don't make games.
It's for kids. It's for kids and certain tech creators. I won't say anything else about that.
Technically, there is a battery because the motherboard inside these things has the little battery, the CMOS battery to store the.
I don't need to charge that. Like I don't need to do anything. It just happens.
That one just goes in the trash.
Yeah, that's exactly. It's done. By the time that thing's done,
that's true. Sometimes it's like a CR2032 battery that they throw in these things. It's like you can just go buy a new one, like you and throw it in there. And
how do you like that, Chris? Pepper and I dropping battery knowledge on you. It's like,
I know. I'm impressed,
and
I feel like I'm in my place right now.
That's funny.
Let's go through. We're coming up on an hour here. By the way, chat. How many people in chat? Not many, 5, 10. Anyways, if you guys have questions, throw them out there. We'll get to them. The other thing is, before we go too far, let's talk about what's coming up in the near future here. So we have something this week. Something about 125 watt charging coming up this week. Chris, you know anything about it?
I heard about it. I'll be honest. I've been in transit pretty much since that story dropped, but I believe it's Oppo has claimed that they have 125 watt charging on one of their new mobile devices.
That's like a laptop.
And
that's for me. So here's the thing for me, that unless I'm misreading the specifications, there isn't a USB-C. There isn't a standard connector today that will support 120
proprietary
of charging, right? So it's either got to be proprietary or Like I have an old Anchor thing that, you know, a super fast charging power brick from Anchor, and it actually has 2 inputs into it. And that's how they got away with it. They advertised this insane charge rate that no one would believe, and you actually buy 2 chargers and connect 2 chargers. It's a scary looking thing, but they could be doing that. It could have 2 ports, and then that's totally real. To have 2 ports doing 62.5 watts each, that's totally realistic.
But assuming this is lithium ion,
so that's the only
how
other
many
thing.
cycles are we going to get out of this thing?
That's the thing that I wonder. I mean, could this be where they're turning it into graphene? I know that you've talked about graphene in the past. I've been investigating it more and more recently, looking for a reliable manufacturer that makes an actual battery pack that humans that can afford things can actually buy one to try it. But I'm wondering if they're doing it with lithium ion, whatever this device is, if it doesn't have any like sort of integrated cooling system, or there's not like a bunch of like a cell management or something like that going on, it would have to be graphene, because that's like, I mean, there's too many considerations for dumping that kind of wattage into batteries today, unless it's a really, really large device, and the device is like aluminum, and they could do things to manipulate the current going into the cells a certain way. There's a lot of activity going on to make that happen. And I guess the thing that I want to know is, what are you doing that you need to charge this whole phone in 8 minutes or whatever it is?
Gary says you're not pulling 125 through a cable unless you want it to glow.
What I was concerned about was why Max Weinbeck was taking 3 minutes to go up his stairs.
I said he probably lives in a mansion. He's probably got a seven floor winding staircase.
But what I was just reading about is they said with the 65 watt chargers that was on like the Oppo Reno Ace and some of those, that after 800 cycles, your battery was down to 81%. So at 125 watts, that wouldn't take much. That means that like a year, you're going to lose like a 20 to 25% potential of your, if not sooner, because you're introducing even more heat and it's not directly proportional to the doubling. It's even.
Maybe they know that people that own Oppo, that's like their side chick, that they have another phone that they're using. I don't know anybody has an Oppo that's their main and only device. Like,
my question is, could it be that the idea isn't that you actually plug it in to charge and it gets up to that full heat because it's doing it so fast that they'll actually throttle that down and be able to take advantage of more of like the half. So instead of like, let's say before they could charge your phone in 20 minutes with 65 watt, this can now charge phones in 10 minutes. Then instead they would still use the 65 watt, but it would charge that much faster. You know what I'm saying?
I can see that working. I'm hoping it's graphene though. I don't think it will be, but because of all of my investigation, graphene chargers, if we base them on a 3000 milliamp spec, they would charge in 15 minutes to 100%. And that if it was based on what graphene can handle. So that's almost the times we're talking about here. So absent of that, this would have to be something crazy.
Well, that's what I did a little research, and nothing that I found, they didn't say what they're using. Now I did watch, it was a documentary where they were talking about graphene technology, and this was the end of last year, and the company said that it would take them 2 to 3 years to be able to have enough batteries available for even like one version of an iPhone. So like the base model of an iPhone for Apple. So they're 5 to 6 years out to be able to even have enough for the whole spectrum of, and that's just for Apple. That's not Samsung. That's not Google. That's not any of the other companies. And initially that it would be a hybrid.
Right.
So
correct. That's correct.
They use graphene as the Well, Chris can tell us a little bit more about that.
Well, actually, here's what I'm actually going to take a simpler tract. The big challenge that I've found in my limited research of graphene is that there's not a lot of it's manufacturing. It is the expensive part. So I think that the way you're going to see graphene come out to things is you're going to see somebody like pioneer it and do really, really well in it. Somebody that's got an interest in batteries and stuff like that. Now, I'm not saying like this is what Tesla's going to be doing, but that guy's obviously got a bunch of stuff going on. Graphene is not suited for his cars quite yet, but we need to have like a factory that's going to produce it somewhere reliably and consistently, because while it's less dangerous and it's a safer alternative than Li-I or Li-Poly or whatever, because of how the chemistry works inside of them, it's a huge cost. So it's not a case where you're going to see like small ones show up for a while, because the small ones are going to show up and be at a high cost. So there's still a cost aspect to it. I don't think that you'd see it show up in a phone and like an Oppo phone, or they're saying that there's even their sister Vivo brand. What I think is going to happen is 65 watt charging is realistic for the battery technology that we have today. So I think, 65 watts, they've got that today.
You know what I want to see? I want to see them make wireless faster.
Well,
yeah.
So what I think though, so it's funny, and I had to go back and look at when this came out. Legion, I think it was, is the Lenovo gaming brand or whatever. Whoever the Lenovo gaming brand is, they were going to come out with a smartphone earlier this year. There was rumors and there was leaks of it, and there was talking about all this insane charging. Except in that one, they actually stated that it was going to have 2 USB-C ports so that it could support charging over 100 watts. So I suspect that that's the same thing that we are going to see in this one, because they've already shared with us that they can do 60 to 65 watts on one of them. So actually throttling that back, but offering another pipe to get into another segment of the battery, or having 2 batteries that work as one,
like
or 2
double cell,
like a double cell type of situation. I mean, it's all about current.
That makes more sense. That makes more sense. Because then they can still say 125. Yeah.
Yes.
Well, and we know
it's 125.
We know, OnePlus with their 8 Pro is the 30T charging, and then they introduced the 30-watt wireless charging. Huawei has 40-watt wireless charging, but Apple's the parent company. Apple and Vivo are under the parent company of OnePlus. So usually what we see in that works its way down. So I think then is when we're actually going to see it more widespread, is when they're looking to say, hey, we're going to throw this into OnePlus, because that's the worldwide approach. Because we don't see Oppo, Vivo devices really here, unless you're in the tech space and you're looking to do something a little different. And I think it will be a couple of years out, and who knows, maybe by then we'll actually see the Pixel 4a. And
well, you saw that this week, right?
Because
they actually put it up in their store. I'm not even going to go in. We won't go into it, but
no,
Pixel 4a showed up on their own store, not for sale, but as a demonstrated product, and another ad. And The Verge reported that, and they proved it with a screenshot. It was there. They took it down.
They had a blue button too. It was the black color with the blue power button, which I thought it was interesting.
But so I hope that means it's going to come. We've heard now it's going to be back in August. I don't even care. I mean, I do care. Everybody goes, they don't care. And people like Viper are like, don't even bother this year. As I stated in my tech fight debate, Pixel is still a necessary evil because of what it's not about the hardware. It's not about people like, oh, Pixel getting its ass kicked, but it's not. They don't give a crap if they don't sell it.
Is a result. It's a result of the software stuff, and it's
a way for them to say, this is how this stuff is supposed to work. Buy it, install it on your Android platform, or buy this AI from us, or buy this home kit from us, buy the Nest from us, buy Google Payments from us, put the Google Assistant on all your shit. Like, that's what it's about. It's about getting them into your data and into your life. The actual hardware is secondary. The
intelligent closed captioning, things like that they brought to the Pixel, and now OnePlus has on, where it'll caption whatever you're watching. So if it's a YouTube video, Netflix, whatever, they premiered it on there. that's the point. And if you look at every company, that's kind of what it's become, because hardware has become minimal changes year over year, as far as, for the most part, with the exception of new products, in which we hope that things dramatically change and the first attempt is not repeated year after year. And we'll hopefully see that with the Fold 2, and hopefully it doesn't have issues and it's not more of a beta product like the initial Fold was when it got into people's hands.
It's going to be phone of the year, calling it right now.
So
Fold 2 will go down as the phone of the year. Why? I'm not saying it's better than any iPhone made or any of that. It'll be the phone of 2020, because which phone, if the rumors are to be true, right? Which phone, if they improved and made that front screen bigger and they did all the things we bitched about Fold 1 not being excellent, if they made all those improvements and kept the price the same or brought it down, nobody made that kind of progress this year.
No, nobody.
That's what my argument is for phone of the year. That's why.
I've been really impressed, and this is probably the first Android phone I've ever had that I will keep. Like, literally, if you could, I don't care. You could offer me $10,000 for that thing, and I would probably hold on to it. Just because it's unique, right? Like, down the line, there will never be another first folding phone like that. It's like why I kept my iPhone 4. There will never be another first of that type of device. And obviously, your
internet's trolling you.
Hopefully in a year or so, I'm thinking when the Fold 3 comes out, then that will be when I would look to upgrade. And see the change in that. So.
Then you should be done financing the one you bought. No, I'm just kidding. Those things have some crazy installments.
I paid for that outright, so I wasn't going to do that to myself, because I was realizing how much I would pay extra per month. Because by the time you break down and then you throw in the $30 a month plan thing, I can just throw my SIM card in there when I want to use it. You're looking in a couple years, $100 a month over 2 years between the payment plan for the device plus, $30, $35.
I think they do that one over 3 years, don't they? I think ones that are over $1,500 go 36 months now. It's like financing a damn car for a phone.
Not only that, but neither of the carriers that I use have it available. So that was my option, and I've told myself I will not finance a device anymore. If I can't buy it outright, I won't get it, because it ends up costing you more over time. And it will be interesting to see, though, what they do to change and if it will entice more people, because I know there's a lot of people that were put off by the initial Fold, and then there's now people saying they want to get their hands on it and see what it's like.
I think it was just a strategy ultimately to sell more. There's a strategy I'm going to talk over you because your internet sucks, but it was just a strategy to sell. Look, he's frozen. So it was just a strategy to sell more notes. This was all intentional. Get us pumped up about the Fold, sell a bunch of notes, give it 2 months. When the hype dies, people will be ready to open their wallets for the Fold again. Chris, you're on vacation. Get us out of here.
All right. Hey, everybody in the chat, thank you again for coming through. I know I also saw a new name pop in here tonight that I wanted to just shout out. Andy Gifford, thanks for coming through. Welcome. Pleasure having you here. Have not seen you before, so thanks for coming by. And of course, everybody else. Gary, it's actually great to see you here too. I know you've typically been busy at night or something, so I know you always try to show up and make the streams and always support the channel and appreciate your love on Twitter and elsewhere. But it's been good having you here conversationally, and Jason, you as well. I know it's been a minute. I feel like it's like we have a shifting group of folks here all the time. So it's always good to have you guys around. Love having the support, love having the discussion and the commentary. We've always kind of talked about when we were doing this originally and it was over on Mike's channel and then Michael's channel, and now we've kind of done our own thing. It's like, we'd much rather have a small family that is like hell bent on participating and being the most active in the best little family that we can and the best community that we can. And I'm super grateful for that. So I thank you all every week, every time, for coming out and supporting us. And again, all this Twitter. It's I mean, and it's good. I'm looking forward to seeing what we're doing next, because now that Mike's a celebrity, I'm sure he's going to get some big name contracts, and he's going to have to make that decision. Does he stay with these guys, these Tech Circus guys, or does he go start Friday Night Tech Fights? So I'm mostly joshing you, Mike. You don't really have to make those decisions now, but no, I think that's.
I gotta wait till I get my popcorn first, and then it's over.
Yeah, then we can talk. Then we can. Did you get big bags, by the way, or small, or what? Do you like? You don't.
I'm getting both. Well, I also won Creator of the Month.
That's right. That's right. Wow.
I'm just saying, Creator of the Month, and yeah, I'm kind of. If I could just get my videos together so they were watchable, I'd probably have some kind of success. But everything else is aligning right now.
If we could use my video ideas with your videos, like that would probably be really, really good. We just need somebody still to execute them, because I get too busy.
I'm going to hit up Terry Warfield.
Yeah. He's
you probably got time.
When he's not making like the most artful masterpiece about, opening a deity mic, it's just like, yeah, like
that guy could take his trash out. Can you imagine?
And
slow motion. The muscle glistens. He pulls it out to the curb like a cloud passes the sun. Like there's people that have that skill, and it's like, I'm not a hater. You're either a hater or you're just like, damn. Like people like that, the John Morrison, Sam, even John Rettinger, like all the Johns, I guess. No, but it's like there's dudes that just make cinematic stuff, and it's so bomb. And I'm like, I'm trying to not throw up on my shirt while I film this. Like, I just feel like a toddler in high school right now. Like when I'm making these videos, but it's cool because the blueprint's there. You just got to learn how to do it. And there's no shortcut, none. Nope. Anyways, I appreciate you guys all. Appreciate you all in chat. And Chris is on vacation, so we'll let him go hang out with the NBA guys in their bubble.
Yeah. I will see you guys all Thursday.
Oh yeah.
For certain.
With Drew Lips, creator interview Thursday at 7 p.m. EST, 4 p.m. PST. And I don't know what happened there with my internet, but it wasn't my internet. That was StreamYard, because nothing else rebuffered. Nothing else rebuffered. Literally.
You said an hour.
Telegram stayed connected. YouTube chat stayed connected. StreamYard dropped, and I literally had to close the window and come back in, and it kept telling me no internet connection, no internet, but only StreamYard. Everything else was fine. So I'll be chatting with them. So
we're out of here, guys.
Peace out.
Stay safe.
Good night, everybody.
Have a safe week.